All right, here's a question. Where does a city keep all of its money? The answer is just like everyone else, they keep it in a bank. The biggest city in the country, New York City, has accounts at a regular bank. And on Wednesday morning, when officials checked the balances, they noticed that $80 million was missing. For a time, it wasn't clear where it went or who took it. And then yesterday afternoon, there was a break in the case, a confession from President Donald Trump's Secretary of Homeland Security. Kristi Noem tweeting, quote, "I have clawed back the full payment that FEMA deep state activists unilaterally gave to New York migrant hotels." That's MAGA speak for, I took New York's money.
Let's be clear, this is highway robbery.
The city's comptroller calling out the federal government for snatching millions of dollars right from New York City's bank accounts, FEMA funds to provide services for migrants, including shelters like at the Roosevelt Hotel.
This is the newest lawless gambit by Trump and his unelected co-president, Elon Musk, an attempt to basically detonate constitutional governance from within. By doing two things both men have a lot of practice at: reneging on contracts, refusing to pay people who perform services for them. So the whole thing starts, as so many of these stories do, with a tweet from Musk. Early Monday morning, the world's richest man tweeted that the Doge team just discovered that FEMA sent $59 million last week to luxury hotels in New York City to house illegal migrants. Sending this money violated the law and is in gross insubordination to the president's executive order. That money is meant for American disaster relief. Instead is being spent on high-end hotels for illegals. You'll not be surprised to hear almost all of that's complete bunk, as city officials were quick to point out. The $59 million Musk is talking about was part of the larger $80 million outlay to the city. Only a fraction of it was used to house migrants, and not a single penny of it came at the expense of any disaster relief. In fact, the payment was issued through a grant from the Shelter and Services Program, a separate part of the government budget, but it's administered by FEMA and initiated by Congress in 2023 to issue grants to cities and organizations providing services to migrants who have been released from federal custody after crossing the border. That is to say, money appropriated by a vote in Congress, both houses, approved by President Joe Biden, right, to house legal migrants during an upswing in immigration in the United States. It was not to house them in luxury, also, as you might imagine. It was to convert an old Manhattan hotel into a kind of modern-day Ellis Island where migrants were processed, given a health check, and offered temporary shelter and help.
Migrants are connected to a case manager who will help them decide next steps. If they want to connect with family or friends in a different state, the city will help them get there. If they need a shelter bed, the city will then assign them to a shelter site and help them get started on filing their asylum papers.
When migrants do get a place to sleep, the city comptroller says they observe the federal program's cap on hotel and shelter prices. That cap is currently $12.50 a night. Yes, you heard that right. $12.50 a night in New York City. Okay, those are the facts. But within hours of Musk's tweet, the Trump White House fired FEMA's chief financial officer and 3 others for dispersing the legally allocated funds to New York City. Again, congressionally appropriated funds to cover an ongoing approved activity. And the co-presidents were adding new false details to their lies about the case.
A hotel has paid $59 million, $59 million because it's housing migrants, illegal migrants, all illegal, I believe.
And they were being paid twice the normal room rate at 100% occupancy.
Unbelievable.
So it's a racket.
Based on those lies, they used the powers of the federal government to reach into the city's bank account to pluck back $80 million Congress authorized. They're taking money out of other people's bank accounts, calling it a clawback of taxpayer money. A lot of other people call it stealing $80 million. Brad Landers, New York City Comptroller, essentially the city's chief financial officer, and he joins me now. It's good to have you here. Okay, walk me through how you discovered this.
Yeah. So yesterday morning, my chief budget deputy controller says $80 million is gone from the Treasury account of the Department of Finance. We think it was taken back by the federal government.
Did you know they could do that?
Never. I said, has this ever happened before? It is unprecedented. They gave us this money. As you say, Congress authorized it. We have a contract, a signed contract. We sent them an invoice detailing all those expenses to only $12.50 a night on hotels. They sent us the money and approved the invoice. And then, lo and behold, they just yank it right back. It is highway robbery.
Now, I want to be clear on one technical detail. I thought that we discovered that Treasury has some secret back end through the financial system to take people's money, which seemed really worrisome. This was an ACH payment, which technically can be canceled within 5 days. Although anyone who's ever gotten like a direct deposit knows that when it shows up in your bank, it's in your bank. You have the money.
Now, let's be clear. I mean, we spent it last year.
Right.
We had actually moved it over the 5 days since they gave it to us. So when they actually did the clawback, it caused the account to overdraft by $79.5 million.
I'm sure the chief financial officer was psyched about that.
On top of that, Citibank, this is an account at Citibank, charged us a overdraft fee. I'm happy to say I reached out to Citibank, and they have refunded the overdraft fee.
That's menschy of them.
Better believe we're going to keep fighting to get every penny
Well,
of
but
that
you still
$8.5 million.
You still don't have the
They owe
money
it to us.
I mean, so this service, this sort of pot of money was negotiated by members in the House and Senate. It was put into legislation. That legislation was signed by President Biden. It's being spent this year, right?
And we have a contract.
And you have a contract. And you say, we're going to do this. We're going to pay you that. That's the law. Is it your position that they are within their legal authority to simply take it back?
They have no legal authority to take it back. I think two different ways. Attorney General Tish James is in court on a lawsuit around the federal funding freeze, and a Rhode Island judge said they can't do that. But also, we have a contract. So one thing I'm very upset about is that same Mayor Adams that was on your A block, he won't go into court to say, this is our money, you owe it to us.
Well, and I have to say, you are running for mayor. So, full disclosure about that, right? You want that job. But the sitting mayor spent today with Mr. Homan.
Yesterday, he said he was going to ask for the money back, but he didn't ask for the money back. He just gave Homan whatever he wanted. I mean, he is doing the bidding of President Trump and not the bidding of New Yorkers who need that $80 million on all kinds of other things.